NBA trade rumors are at their absolute peak right now, and that includes some very, very weird ones.
And when I say weird, I don't even mean like this doesn't make any sense, this could never happen. These are things that like could happen, but it's just weird that it's even a conversation. It's weird that it's even thrown out there. It's weird that it's even a rumor in the first place. And honestly, a lot of these are pretty funny as well, or at least I find them really, really funny.
First and foremost, this has to be discussed. They were trade rumors involving LeBron over the last couple of days. Rumors is probably the best way to put it. I mean, there's like obscure Twitter accounts talking about the possibility of LeBron getting traded, LeBron tweeting weird emoji stuff, randomly sitting out of games. And if you really wanted to get to the point of, oh, a LeBron trade makes sense for the Lakers, it's actually not that hard to get to that line of thinking. He obviously is still very, very good, but old, going to be a free agent, uncertainty in terms of his future with the team, and he's going to kind of always be pushing buttons behind the scenes for this team. He's always going to be pushing for them to make more moves. It's always going to be uncomfortable for the role players on the team that constantly feel like they're going to get traded. And if you could get some value out of LeBron to potentially add to next year's team, and of course keep Anthony Davis in all of that, theoretically, yeah, you could get there. You could certainly make an argument. Now, there's no indication that LeBron has requested a trade, and there's very little indication that the Lakers have considered this at all. Both LeBron, Rich Paul, has come out and said he's not getting traded. It's not happening. They haven't asked for a trade, which is fine. But this had to be mentioned. This was just a very, very weird situation. And again, I think you could talk yourself into it as like a decent idea if you're the Lakers, but this is not a video game. And LeBron does not get traded. It's not how it works. Technically, he did get traded once when he went to Miami, but that was more of a logistical thing. It just doesn't happen. Unless he asks for it to happen, it doesn't. So the kind of season the Lakers are having this year is something that they're going to probably continue to experience over the next couple of years, assuming LeBron is still on the team. And I'm assuming LeBron is still going to be on the team. Another rumor we have here, this like never happens. The Nets had an opportunity, reportedly, to get some of their own picks back from Houston that they traded to Houston in the James Harden trade. And teams getting their own picks back is very, very rare. We talked about the possibility of DeJounte Murray going to San Antonio and Atlanta getting a pick or two back that they traded away for DeJounte Murray in the first place. Teams trading stuff so that the other team will adjust the protections on a particular pick. That's not super common, but that does happen. But this specific situation of Houston wants Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges is someone that has a lot of value to Brooklyn, and Houston holds the Nets' future first-round picks for the next handful of years because of the James Harden trade, including this season, by the way, which is a big reason why the Nets haven't really chosen to kind of break things down and move on from this core. And this is just an opportunity that never comes up. And this idea of trading Mikal Bridges specifically for the Houston picks has created this interesting little thought experiment within, kind of some of the NBA community as it relates to the Nets. Because on one hand, it's like, of course you do this. Like, you can actually rebuild and reset the team. You can trade away stuff, which right now they can trade some stuff, but they can't trade like a lot of stuff because then they're just going to be giving away a potential top 5 pick. And yes, a weak draft class to Houston this upcoming season, but like generally speaking, teams don't like to bottom out when they don't have access to their own first round pick and as some people put it, get out of jail free card on the James Harden trade. And giving up Mikal Bridges, who's been good but not great this year, is something that theoretically makes sense. And for Houston, by the way, that would be an awesome addition for them. And this Nets situation in terms of trading Mikal Bridges, this is the most advantageous Mikal Bridges trade they could possibly make, getting their own picks back, because those picks are more valuable to them than any other picks around the league. And conversely, for Houston, this is probably the best value they can get out of these Nets picks because those picks are not as valuable to any other team as they are to the Nets. Now, the rumor coming along with this possibility of Houston and Brooklyn talking about this trade back and forth is the Nets have said no. The Nets have said no on any Mikal Bridges trade. They've said no not only to the Houston thing, but they like barely spoke about it. They're like, no, we're not even considering this, which on one hand is like, okay, really strong indication they want to keep Mikal Bridges. On the other hand, for a couple years running now, we have heard the Nets aren't trading Kevin Durant. The Nets aren't trading Kevin Durant. The Nets aren't trading Kevin Durant. Oh, just kidding. All of a sudden, Kevin Durant's going to Phoenix. Same thing with James Harden going to Houston. They weren't trading him. They weren't trading him. They weren't trading him. Oh, just kidding. James Harden is now in Philadelphia. And so I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but if there was a Mikal Bridges deal that made sense for Brooklyn that they would actually do at the deadline, it is more more than likely the one where they get their picks back from Houston. And this is a team and an organization with a history of not really revealing what their plans are and kind of publicly saying, we will not do something, and then changing that up later as a way to try and gain some leverage on the other team. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. Speaking of Houston, by the way, Jalen Green is like extremely available all of a sudden in Houston, which is very, very weird because he had a good start to his career statistically, and he's clearly very talented, but Houston is like a decent team. And unfortunately for Jalen Green, they're like what Jalen Green was supposed to be, or maybe eventually will be, away from being like a top 8, top 6 team in the West, and potentially more than that moving forward into the future. And it's weird because almost the thing that is holding them back is like another backcourt creator, like explosive offensive guy. And Jalen Green was kind of profiled as that as a draft pick, and has kind of been that, potential upside guy within their franchise since he's come in the league. And he just hasn't become that. He's not bad. He's just still a very, very young player. And it's interesting to me how much Houston is seemingly trying to push towards being good pretty soon. Of course, they made all the moves in the offseason. They traded for Steven Adams, who's going to try and help them next year once he gets healthy. And then again, we have all these rumors about Jalen Green possibly getting moved as well. Before they hired Ime Udoka, the Rockets would not be considering trading away Jalen Green. They want to let him develop. They'd want him to, kind of become what they hope that he will be, but they kind of need what Jalen Green is supposed to be right now if they want to end up being good. And so again, whether it be possibly as a part of the Mikal Bridges trade package or just down the road in the future, Jalen Green's time in Houston might be kind of limited, which is really strange to think about because I thought of him coming into the year as a pretty foundational piece for them, yet amongst the young guys there, whether it be Jabari Smith, Şengün, of course, it seems like Jalen Green has kind of fallen out of favor in Houston. And then the last part of this kind of weird, funny trade rumor segment here, we're still getting DeJounte Murray buzz, and I made a prediction that he's going to go to the Lakers. I'm still pretty confident in that, but for whatever reason, Detroit is involved in this. It seems like there's 4 teams right now. Milwaukee, who can't trade like anything for him. I don't know how that's going to work. The Lakers, who have a very easy trade structure to be able to put together for DeJounte Murray if they're able to find a place for D'Angelo Russell to go to. The Nets seem to be involved as well, so they can add a guard alongside their guys. San Antonio, that seems to have kind of gone away, and Detroit also, for whatever reason, is involved in this. I would presume that it would involve Jaden Ivey and some stuff and pair DeJounte Murray with Cade Cunningham in the backcourt. It's an interesting backcourt because of the size and length of those two guys, but I don't really understand what Detroit's doing for 2 different reasons. One, they don't need DeJounte Murray. This team's terrible. What is DeJounte Murray going to do for them? And 2, I think it's very possible Jaden Ivey could be like pretty good over the next couple of seasons now that he's actually getting reps and actually playing. And I don't know that that's an asset that I would want to just completely give up on, especially when I'm as bad as Detroit is, especially for a player in DeJounte Murray that is going to be on a huge, massive contract over the next couple of seasons. I understand the concept of let's make our team better so we're not literally one of the worst teams of all time from a record standpoint. That makes total sense. But the idea of DeJounte Murray being like a priority for you within the season that Detroit is in makes very little sense to me, which honestly, most of the rumors we talked about today make very little sense to me, but that's why they made the video. That's why they're in the video, is because they're fun. They're interesting to talk about as we are getting so close to the actual NBA trade deadline.